Now, last week, we had a little bit about Robert Ballard, the human side of him. And if you recall, he was the man who found the Titanic. However, we have part 3 for you. Let's check it out.
Robert Ballard has been searching the high seas for a different kind of treasure for most of his life. As an oceanographer and marine archaeologist, he has had the opportunity to venture to the most extreme depths of the ocean and experience tender moments with ships that have long since said goodbye to the surface. He was involved with the discoveries of the battleship Bismarck, the aircraft carrier USS Yorkton, and the most known in popular culture, the RMS Titanic. Mr. Ballard is also a former United States Navy officer and is now a professor of oceanography at the University of Rhode Island.
The loss of my son, by far the greatest moment of change. You don't return to where you were. You become a different person and a better one. It trumps everything else. I can't think of anything else that comes remotely close to that. Sorry about that. Thank you. My grandson is in first grade in Newtown, Connecticut.
Oh my God.
He just lost 8 of his best friends to that maniac, that troubled person. So what I learned, I have a little saying, never get into the thick of thin things. And when you go through some of these things, everything else is thin. When someone said, I had a bad day, you go, you don't know what a bad day is. And so never get into the thick of thin things. And I also was taught people ask me why I spend so much time with children. Well, I'm the first of 13 generations to go to college in my family, the first to graduate from college. So I was raised by, Midwestern stock. And my grandmother always had little sayings. And I was raised on sayings, and they come out of me all the time. And my children have asked me to write it down because it's become part of their being. And I call it my grandma done told me. And one of my favorite sayings that deals with what I did today, my grandmother attributed it to Johnny Appleseed, the mythical person, Johnny Appleseed. And she said that Johnny Appleseed said, great is the person who plants a tree knowing they'll never sit in its shade. She said, if that's greatness, do that. And today, a 71-year-old man talked to 10-year-olds. I'll never see the fruits of those trees, but I planted a bunch of them. The Jason Project, was really interesting. When I was a child, I had my dreams, and I wrote a letter to a man at Scripps, the biggest oceanographic institution in the United States, in La Jolla, California. And I'm dyslexic, and so I'm sure I wrote him a letter, and I said, dear, like a Santa Claus letter, I want to be an oceanographer, which it's still a tough word for a lot of people. So I said, I want to be an oceanographer. And I was 16 years old at the time. And this old man, out of the kindness of his heart, responded to my letter and said, we actually have a program for kids like you. And he sent me the applications, and I got a scholarship to go to sea on my first expedition in June of 1959. And it was the greatest adventure of my life. And it changed my life. It opened doors for me that just led to where I am today. And it was because this man answered my letter. So, flash forward, 1985, September 1st, Robert Ballard discovers the Titanic. I come home, 16,000 letters from little Bob Ballard's on my desk saying, what do I have to do what you do? And can I go with you on your next expedition? And I said, how can I ignore those letters when he didn't ignore mine? And I created the Jason Project. And I said, come on. And I'm using this amazing advanced telecommunication technology to take them with me. And we now have 1.7 million children going on my expeditions. And we now hope to quadruple that because we're now going to bring in other ships. We're creating, think Situation Room CNN News. We're going to have what's called Exploration Now, launched in June. It's basically a channel on the web where you can go to, and on the top of the hour, we're going to show you where the ships of the world are exploring, where they're going to pick a ship. We have those little interactive boards, pull one down. Then we're going to go out to those ships, and we have role models reflecting the demographics of our country. A child needs to see themselves 20, 30 years out in an exciting position of leadership and authority. And then they say, if that person can do it, I can do it. So we have what's called the core of exploration. It's a play on words to Lewis and Clark's core of discovery. And our mission is to go where no one has gone before on planet Earth, led by a phenomenal team that will then be role models in front of all children that shows them they can play, because everyone can play, and everyone should play. That's the Jason Project.
Now, just like that interview, we have many more exclusive, special interviews right here on City Vibes just for you.